Welcome, everyone. We're here for another expert interview. Got my boy Tom on here. Really, really excited for this conversation. Tom is a wizard, genius, and whatever else you want to call him. He's amazing. Looking forward to this conversation. Let's jump straight into it. Tom, why don't you tell everyone who you are and what you do?
Yeah, thanks, Devin, for having me. I think more than anything, I'm just an ever lifelong student of the game, right? And always searching for answers, looking for ways and for people to be able to teach me and to be more efficient, be more effective at what I do. So my background, I am a digital marketing consultant / agency owner, and I help professional service providers. In our world, we like to be considered trusted advisors, right? To generate more qualified leads consistently and grow their brand using video marketing. And I own a company called TNT Digital Marketing, and I am based on the other side of the hill in California, in the Bay Area.
Awesome. Well, thanks for taking the time in. I know, especially when we got on, you're always busy, you're always hustling, you're always doing amazing things for your family, for your clients. So thanks for the time, bud.
Absolutely.
Well, let's jump into trends. I love to start the conversation here. So what's trending in your industry that people should pay attention to, or some keywords they should be on the lookout for?
Yeah, I think really in the professional services space, right? What my people, right, try to do in that sense is when we're building or growing our businesses, what we do in terms of providing value for our customers and clients is we provide a service, right? It's within the name. But beyond doing that, in order to be able to gain and earn someone's business, ultimately it starts with building know, like, and trust. So some of the things, the biggest trend, right, coming out of 2021 and hopefully coming out of the back end of this pandemic has been, how do I consistently build and grow my revenue and client base when the world shuts down and I can no longer go to one-on-one, face-to-face networking events. And what really occurred to me, as much as I was pushing and encouraging my clients and other professionals to do that, was the people that actually had videos out there in the marketplace and they were actually visible when the world shut down and everyone was on one of these things, right? Is their businesses took off, right? Everyone that had any type of video content out there, just engaging, adding value, doing what you would normally do in a face-to-face type of a networking or one-on-one event and building know, like, and trust. If they were doing that in a way where they were actually being seen, that was not only helping them grow their know, like, and trust and build their brand, but man, business was coming to them inbound. They were no longer having to chase. So I think the biggest trend is, how do we now get our businesses in front of our ideal clients when we physically can't? So for me, 2 words: video marketing.
Love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Right. Because you're right. Know, like, and trust. That's how you get deals, right?
Yeah.
Or visibility plus credibility equals profitability, right? No matter how you want to skin it, it all is the same thing. You got to be in front of people, right? And when the world gets locked down and you're stuck at home, you damn sure better find another way. And it's been fun to watch the stuff you're doing. Let's talk through why video. Like, why is video the option, right? If we look at digital media, there's so many ways we can play. Like, why is video so important?
Great question. And I think if you think about all of the things at the buffet, right, you can try a little bit of everything and ultimately you're going to land on something that you're probably going to favor the most. And oftentimes even in our experience, in both being in digital media for a long time, the challenge has been, because video is so intimate, there's a lot of like different things, right, that go on in a person's head, whether it's internal, whether it's external. And the challenge has been, man, I don't want to because, right? But the flip side of that is, if you think about all of the other mediums that we have available to us to be visible in today's marketplace, if we focused and embraced video at the top of that food chain, at top of that content chain, everything else can get done. And my point is, if I was to record an elevator pitch, 30 second, 60-second XYZ statement to you, or my unique selling proposition, however you want to, coin that phrase, it's the same thing that I'm doing at these one-on-one networking groups. Same thing that I'm doing at these Chamber of Commerce events. But the difference is, if I did that in, say, audio form, if I did that in text form, in a blog post, if I did that with an image, what doesn't come across is my personality, my tone, my demeanor, my energy. Whereas in video, you have the opportunity to do that. So the way I like to pose that to my clients and the people kind of watching this interview series is going to be, if you wanted to, if there was a way for you to be able to clone yourself as another advocate for your business, because no one else is going to care or work as hard or do the things that you're going to do for your business harder and better than you can, wouldn't you consider maybe trying to learn what that is? And of course, it's a loaded statement and question when it comes to this context, but with video, we could repurpose it into everything else, but it also builds the concept of I think it's called a parasocial relationship, a one-way relationship, oftentimes referred to as celebrity status, because as a lot of us as consumers will Netflix and chill or Disney Plus, right? There's this celebrity type of relationship that we have, or a connection that we have by watching people on TV and reality TV, to where like if we saw them on the street, it's almost like, dang, I know that person. That's what video can do for you and for your brand. So it's literally another way of saying that that I like to use is it's networking at scale.
Love it, man. That's yes, we could probably just stop now.
Yeah, I'm so dang passionate about that, right?
But it's true. I remember I gave a presentation. It's funny. I put it up. It's on my TikTok. You guys can see it. Yeah. And I was referencing Mike Wood, awesome realtor in the Reno market. And we were talking about in that presentation I gave, it was like the second presentation I ever gave with my marketing agency, was the power of one video. And I remember I have this slide, and the slide's so damn ugly. I'm gonna have to find it. I'm gonna put a link below this video. Yeah, but the slide was like this ugly ass old YouTube video, right? With all these arrows going out. Exactly to your point. I can take that and transcribe my presentation into a blog post or article or multiple blog posts. I can then turn that into pictures and screenshots or quote cards with the quotes and takeaways from the presentation. I can then take the video and snip it, and in this world, put it in TikTok, which then goes into stories, which goes into Instagram, which goes into Facebook.
Yep.
I can then share those clips with prospects or use them as LinkedIn messages, right? So you have a more personal message that at least has a talking head and some personality in it. All of that's one video. And in this case, I mean, we're showing the example. We're going to spend 30 minutes and we're going to generate enough content that we can probably produce 100 touches just from having a conversation.
Absolutely. 100%. And no matter if it's 1 a.m. or 4 o'clock in the evening, a Monday or a Sunday or a holiday, or if you're on vacation or not, your video, your message is consistently being put out there where your potential clients and prospects and referral partners can find it, right? It's a beautiful thing.
Love it. Let's have the conversation about professionalism, right? I think that this is interesting. And I know we've talked about this a couple of times, but like, I worry that people get stuck in that planning to plan, right? Yes. And in this case, like you already said, right? Like we all have one of these. I know my background's cutting it off, right? But we all got a phone. Like, what's a tip on getting started? Like they could take an action today. What's something someone could do today, as soon as they get on watching this, that would start them on their journey to having video content?
Yeah. And I feel as though a trending hashtag for this year, when it comes to say content creating, is truly being authentic. And what does that mean? Right? Even when you are in state, like in your A game, you're doing it to a capacity where you have to show up a certain way, right? For that situation that you're in. So whether if it's a certain, say, interview event, or you are in a certain place, but at the same time, people want to relate to knowing that you're a real person. Again, it goes back to know, like, and trust. Like in my life right now, like I have my daughter right next to me as we're doing this interview. We're living in this reality. And we both know that right now in today's climate, networking has evolved to being on Zoom. And being on Zoom, oftentimes, if you need to show up professionally, you probably have a business attire on the top, but you're probably wearing some pajamas, some sweats, some shorts, right? As joking and comical as can be, this is real life. So I think more than anything, I want to encourage people to start, because if you get understand and embrace the fact that if you want to be good or great at something, we all start in the same spot, right? And starting and fumbling over your words and not knowing where to look at the camera and doing those things is absolutely 100% normal. But the concept that I want to have people embrace is document over create. If you're documenting what you're doing, then you're doing nothing other than simply turning on your phone or your camera, hitting record, and go about your day, go about your business. Over time, it's going to get better. Over time, you'll get used to looking at the camera lens. Over time, you're going to get used to doing certain things. But if you don't capture these elements and these events in your life, there's no way for you to go back and cut the nonsense or even keep it to showcase the fact that you're human as well. You're not perfect, right? And that's the biggest thing I would encourage people to do is just get started with it. You never have to publish the darn video, but just hit record.
I love that, man. And I love being real. And then kudos to your daughter for walking in right when we need her to, right? How are you? But no, I love it because I love that though, because that is the message, right? And that would be my biggest message to anyone is like, guys, be real. Like people want, and I've been saying this forever, they love the behind the scenes videos, right? They love the videos that show the back of house, right? The behind the curtain. So in this case, just grab your phone, like prop it up on your water bottle, hit record, and just give them an update on what just happened. I find that the interaction I get on my videos is best when I'm literally in the car. I put it on the steering wheel, I hit record, and I literally just tell you the awesome conversation I just had. Like, hey, one of my buddies and I were just talking and we were talking about XYZ. Here's what the takeaway was. This may apply to you. Boom, video's done, post it, done.
100%.
Cool. Good. I'm done. So I think that's a great takeaway today, guys, is, video is not going anywhere. It's something that's going to be more and more prevalent. We're seeing it with stories, right? Stories are increasing dramatically right now. We're seeing with all the video platforms pushing, LinkedIn's even starting to push for more video content. So if that's the case, then today's challenge, especially after talking to Tom, is just record a video, record one video, doesn't matter how long. And again, just go through the motions.
So I would say this too, to add on to that, Devin. Post your comments or questions underneath this interview. Let us kind of help you get through this, right? Just literally, it's just stumbling to get started with things because it's new, right? I mean, no one's perfect. You don't have a cadence. You don't have all these things when you're new at something. It's going to be difficult. It's going to be challenging, right? But in order for you to get your six-pack abs, you have to start with your first crunch or your first sit-up. Let's just get you started. And if the next thing is, well, great, Tom, Devin, I get it. I have my phone. I can't record. What in the world am I saying? Right? So those are some things that I would say, because you are a professional in what you do already, and because you're passionate about it, because if you aren't, that's a different topic, right? But tell us something in the sense of, if you're going through a normal discussion with a prospect or a client, what are some frequently asked questions that always come up? Gentlemen, ladies, they're frequently asked questions for a reason, right? Articulate that. And if you have a problem with, well, how do I start this? Just rephrase the question. Right? So some tips are, what is that frequently asked question? Start your video with that frequently asked question. Introduce yourself, answer the question. Right? Simply put, you will get better over time. But just for the fact of you doing that, the only difference is, I know that in our mental state, we may think that things are different when you're hitting record and then, oh shoot, the lights are on. Once you get over the fact that that's there, you're going to forget that's there. Once you forget it's there and you're stumbling and you kind of get used to that rhythm, right? You'll get better at it. Because I know that when you are talking to that prospect, whether it's face-to-face or on the phone, and you're on it, wouldn't you have wanted to capture that? So then that perfect response can be then distributed everywhere you want it to be. That's the end goal. But in order to get there, let's just get our reps in.
I love that. I love the frequently asked questions, man. It's so funny. I just sent a client today. We've been working on her frequently asked question doc, right? Because she didn't have one. And we were talking about a common thing that's happening in her company is she's getting a good amount of misalignment and misaligned expectations with her clients. Yeah. She's a social media marketer and awesome at what she does, but she's having some misalignment. I said, typically misalignment comes from either not setting clear expectations in the beginning or not answering someone's questions. Those are the two ways we can eliminate it rapidly. So first, let's do a welcome letter, right? Let's set those expectations in a clear way that's trackable. And second, how do you handle frequently asked questions? And she's like, I mean, we don't really. Sometimes I'll copy and paste. I'm like, okay, good. Well, at least you have some stuff written down. Yep. And that was my conversation, is like, let's build that out. So every time your team comes across a question that a client asked the second time, let's document that, right? Let's write something, right? Let's create a blog post, or let's make that into content. And in this case, Tom, you're exactly right, man. Take those frequently asked questions and it goes like this, right? Let's use one that I always get, time management, right? Hey, I was in a meeting today. Someone asked me, man, I can't manage my time. How do I manage my time? Let me tell you, use time blocking, right? Boom, done. That's it, guys. There's a segment. And then maybe I spend 30 seconds explaining to you what time blocking looks like and why it's important.
Yeah.
Done.
100%.
Devin just
I'm gonna add on to this. And I'm gonna add into another objection. But Devin, I see 4 or 5 of those videos on YouTube when I'm searching them. What's gonna make mine different? The difference is you are uniquely you. So don't try to be anyone else other than you. You deliver the message, because I was at a coaching event one time when I was scared to get in front of the camera as well, right? And what that person has said to me was, there is probably, I forget what the statistical relevance is for it, but I'll just say it in my own words. There is someone out there in the world right now that needs to hear your message from your voice. Don't let that go unheard. Just because someone else is saying the same thing does not mean that that personality match is going to resonate or the timing is. So I would encourage you, you have a message, you have your own unique personality and style in which you can get your clients to the other side of the bridge, if you will, right? To their transformation. So please do yourself and your clients that absolutely are looking and needing you and your help right now, that service is just hit and record.
Love it. I want to follow up on your frequently asked questions. And this is something, again, I came across, I'm digging through a lot of old content right now. And it's so awesome. I had used the phrase should ask questions one time. And it took me a minute to like reset what that meant. But what it meant to me then, and I think what it means to me now, is slightly different, but it's still relevant. I think that the should ask questions, I classified them and I still classify them as questions that if a client asks you, your probability of closing a deal goes up. So we have frequently asked questions, which are typically annoying, nagging things that you're going to have to address. But I love those should ask questions because those tee you up to close a deal, right? Yep. So that's when, like, if someone says, hey, give me a case study, tell me a success story. Man, that's a should ask question. You want your client to ask that because you probably have a success story that relates to them, right? Yeah. Or, a should ask question is, hey, what's the timeline once we get started? If you hear that come out of your client's mouth, they're closed. Like they're ready. Their prospect is saying, I am ready to move forward, right? So there's some should ask questions that help people kind of transition from that discovery phase to the purchasing phase. And I think that if you can hone in on what those look like for your business, and a couple examples I gave kind of transcend all businesses and industries, but there are certain ones you guys could ask and answer and kind of train people like, here's things you should think about. Yeah. So with that, Tom, I want to ask a question I've asked a lot of the experts I've had on is, if I'm going out, I'm a business owner and I'm like, you know what, I want to increase my digital presence. I want to do online marketing, no matter what that looks like. How do they know if they're hiring the right person? What are some things they should ask that vendor that they're talking to?
That's a great question. And I think it goes back to putting yourself in the shoes of your clients and prospects. So I'll answer that by echoing and extending your should ask questions, right? So if you think about, say, for the audience that's hearing this message now, you are a professional and a practitioner in your field. So if you think about that, think about all of the potential objections that could come up in your prospect's mind as to why they should or should not. Educate them on that. Call that out. You bring that to light, right? And educate on your process and the things that they should know about before even going into that buying decision. They may or may not be ready, but if it's something that's consistently coming up, you're seeing or hearing in your conversations, you're seeing out there, don't avoid it. It's going to come up eventually, right? So just address it up front. When it comes to digital marketing, you and I had this conversation a lot offline. And being in this world for a long time, some of my challenges are this. You don't know what you don't know. So I would encourage each and every one of you here to understand a certain baseline of what you want that marketing capacity and what that agency to help you with. Okay. Because if you don't understand what you're delegating, and this is something that stuck with me the very first time I read the E-Myth Revisited, right? It's just the initial story inside, right? Of the lady who's making muffins. Since she hired somebody else to do that for her and said, go make them. And when she came back, she was like, well, why didn't you do it this way or that way? And the lesson inside of it was, before we can delegate, right? If we don't understand what we're delegating enough to be able to establish what success looks like, then we're abdicating. So if you're abdicating something and you have no idea what success looks like for whatever that goal and that path is for you in hiring someone or working with someone, how are you going to be able to check in to see if it's working or not? You don't know when things are off, right? So understanding the baseline of it first, being a student of it and knowing how to hire around you makes a lot of sense. In addition to that, going back to what you're saying about case studies and testimonials, right? I would look for somebody that has shown success in working with people that have been in that same industry as well. Tell me what you've done. What were their KPIs? Does that align with me? Does this make sense, or am I just being sold? Right? Get educated first, so that when you're being sold on something, you should be getting sold on getting to your destination a lot faster working with this person. Is it a vehicle that's different in the context of, do I need a new website? Do I need more video? It doesn't matter what it is, y'all. It's a matter of, is this vehicle going to get you to your destination in the way that you want it to, right?
Yes, so much good content in there. And it's true though, right? Like I actually, I swear, I think this was in yesterday's interview I did. I gave the car analogy, right? Like, I don't know about you, but every car purchase I made, I didn't just walk on a lot and walk off with a car, right? There was a process, right? It's a decent size purchase. And you're going to think through, what size car do I need? Do I need 4-wheel drive, all-wheel drive, front-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive? Do I need cargo space? How many kids? Am I planning on more kids, less kids? Are the kids graduating? Do I want a fun car, right? What brand? I'm probably then going to do some research and figure out, hey, if it's cargo space, which one has the most cargo space? If it's a truck, which one hauls the most? Should I be diesel? Should I be this? Should I be that? I'm gonna do all this research. Then I'm probably going to go to 1 or 2 lots, or go to a place like a CarMax, right? That offers all the choices so I can compare the choices. If we're going to go through that process to buy a car, which we're going to replace in 3 to 5 years, I'm going to replace in 3 to 5 years. You may sit on yours longer. Good for you. That's awesome.
Right.
Exactly. So, but like, if you're going to do that, and now we're talking about your business, and we're talking about making a decision, especially in this case, in the marketing sales sector, which is going to impact the revenue of your company, why would you not educate yourself slightly before making a purchase?
I sit on both sides of that fence. Right. And me being in the agency world for a long time and experiencing, working and helping and consulting with businesses at all levels of stages of where they are with their business. The one thing that I feel as though I cannot be as vocal enough about is, you have to understand marketing. It is the lifeblood of your business, unless you're in the public sector, right? If you are in the private sector, meaning you have to go out there and hunt every day, then new leads generate new sales. Without sales, nothing else matters. So why would you abdicate that to someone else or to another person that could possibly be very good at sales, but not very good at implementation, let alone understanding your business? You need to understand your business to be able to hire out, right? Whether it's hiring out by bringing someone in and training and investing in them. Because what I see a lot of times is these agencies are going through, by the time I have a prospect or I'm working with someone or even talking to someone initially, they've been on their 3rd or 4th agency. They have nothing to show for it, and they're burnt out and they're jaded and they have all the scar tissue that we have to break down. And the last thing they want to hear from me is, you need to learn this. But I say this to you now, wherever you are in that stage of your journey in your business, you absolutely need to learn it to some capacity to understand what it's supposed to do for you.
And work with a professional who's willing to provide some education, right? I think this is something that, if you're going to hire a vendor and you're looking for a product or service, especially in the service sector, especially in the online or digital world, work with someone who's willing to pull back the curtain a little bit and help you understand it, right? I have this example of keyword reports, right, from a really large credit union back in the day that I was working with. And I remember going through the sales process with them, and they say, oh, the agency we work with is awesome. So good. I'm like, well, that's interesting, because I'm sitting at the table. So something must be off, right? Because you called me. So that's an interesting statement, but I'm sitting here, right? I said, go ahead, let's look at some reports. We look at the reports, and in this example, they were ranking for Credit Union Spanish Springs, which is like a super small suburb that is barely not a city, right? Well, I hope you're ranking, right? Because if they optimize for that and there's one search, you probably should show up, right? And I showed them, I said, well, here's the search results. And it was something like 300 search results a month for all the keywords, hundreds of keywords they were looking for. And I said, but you don't show up for Credit Union Reno at all. Like, you're not even in the realm of searches. And I said, so here's the game that agency just played. And by you not understanding the game, you continue to pay into a service that is legitimately doing nothing for your organization, right? So I want you guys to be able to sit down with an expert, right? Whether it's Tom, whether it's anyone else in the online marketing space. And I want you, one, ask them for case studies and testimonials. They should be able to give you a reference point. I appreciate the people who are starting in the industry. And if they are, they should be able to give you case studies and testimonials of people that they're mentoring with or learning from, and say, hey, I don't have a case study there, but here's what my mentor is doing. I still respect that answer, right?
Yep.
And the other side of it is if you ask questions like, hey, what are my reports going to look like? They should be able to give you an answer in clear language.
And I want to add on to that, Devin, on the other side of that, right? First, to kind of elaborate on your story, if you don't know what to be checking for, then someone can be just showing you vanity metrics. Great, 4,000 people saw this post. You can't deposit likes and comments and shares to the bank.
Impressions are awesome, bro. I got 1 million of them.
So cool, right? So those are the things, but at the same time, I want to advocate that there is a fine line in the sense of there's certain things that you just don't need to know, right? If success for you looks like a certain amount of inquiries coming in, right? A certain amount of those. So the way I like to look at it in the service world is, what is your average, say, cost per lead? If you've never done online traffic before, get educated first. You have to set your baseline. The only way to do that is data, right? Everyone has opinions, right? None of that matters without data. Use data to drive your decisions, right? Data-driven decisions. In the context of, if I'm putting this message out there to the market, how many people are resonating with, say, that offer? What is my average cost per lead? Of those leads that are coming in, how am I nurturing them so that when they are ready to buy, I can turn those into appointments? How many appointments do I need from this new channel of leads to then turn into a sale, new business, a new estimate, whatever it is in your field? If you have those baselines, then all of the other traffic sources, whether that's YouTube or or AdWords or Facebook ads or Instagram or TikToks, none of that is going to matter as much, because a metric on TikTok versus a metric on Facebook and how we're optimizing, it should not matter to you. What should matter to you is your baseline metrics. What is it costing me to get a new person into my world? Cost per lead. What is it costing me from those people to get an appointment or a conversation happening with them? Those are the things you want to look at to see if that channel is going to make sense, or that channel partner. Because the other thing that we hear a lot oftentimes is, oh, I've tried Facebook, it doesn't work for me. Right? And I'm sitting here like, okay, I understand where you're at. Right?
I got you.
And it's like, I'm not going to sit here and bite your head off. It's not going to be a good experience for either one of us, but understand that maybe you may not have been working with the right system, tool, or you just didn't work Facebook the right way to get what you want out of it. And those are nuances to where you want to hire or work with an expert, or at least have a framework to go to, right?
Well, and that's why, right? Because if you can hit those metrics over time and make them better, that's great. But so often I talk to people who, their best form of business is word of mouth, which is great. High close rate, warm referrals, already endorsed leads. Yes. When you start moving into the cold sector, right, which is all forms of marketing, right, whether you're door knocking and handing out flyers or you're putting an ad up, it's good. The close rate's going to go down, right? And you need to then understand the touch points in your sales process, and marketing directly impacts those, right? And this is just summarizing what you just said, but you guys have to understand that. Like, what are your touch points in your sales process? And Tom, I love that idea of like, let's understand then how the marketing is going to correlate and impact those metrics. That would be something that I need to understand before I go out and try to hire someone in the online marketing space. Because what I want to be able to tell them is, hey, I know that with my current lead base, I need 20 appointments to have 5 clients, right? And then I know my average client value is $1,000. So now Tom can sit here and go, okay, cool. So 25% close rate and you're making $5,000.
Numbers game.
Right. And now you can sit here and decide what channels will generate 20 appointments with a predictable close rate that I'm not going to lose money. Because if Tom comes to me and says, yeah, Devin, I can do that, it's going to cost you $10,000 a month to get 20 appointments. Okay, well, last time I checked, if my close rate's 25% and it was $1,000, I'm paying Tom my whole profit plus another whole month of revenue to do marketing. Like, that doesn't work.
Right. 100%. And just on top of that too, it's like, how many at bats do you need? Right. That's exactly what we're talking about. How many at bats do you need to be able to actually get somebody into your world? But I think oftentimes the biggest misnomer right now that even agencies are missing, are not truly understanding how to kind of shore up to be more aligned with their clients in terms of these small business owners that we're talking to, is the further away a lead or a cold prospect is from actually signing and doing a deal, the less valuable I am as an agency owner, right? So as I looked at this world, I'm like, there's different challenges. Someone's coming in and saying, I want more leads. No, Your experience has been word of mouth marketing. So a referral to you is a lot closer to doing business because that transfer of know, like, and trust is here in your ecosystem, in the customer journey, right? So if that's the case and you want more leads back here, there's a huge disconnect between a lead and a referral. So there's a lot of nurturing, know, like, and trust, and all this stuff that has to come along the way. How are you going to shore this up? Business owner or agency or consultant, to be able to get them to build know, like, and trust a lot faster. So where I can get somebody to actually book an appointment from this lead, nurture them, book an appointment, so they're a lot closer than the referral is. Because the other challenge with just referrals is, how do you scale this? How do you scale that? Oftentimes people are like, I need more referral partners. Awesome. But if you only have a certain amount of days or hours in your day, how are you networking at scale? That's why I like to drive home that concept with everyone watching this, right? Or listening to this interview. Video is networking at scale. It's you projecting your message, educating. So an exercise that I want to encourage everybody to do is, within this sales cycle, whether it's your referral partnership sales cycle or your prospecting sales cycle for your business, what are the touch points that you already are actively doing now? Document that stuff and ask yourself, can I automate this or provide a certain, in my world, can I record a video to help educate someone that's at this part in their customer journey? Because when it comes to advertising, oftentimes all of us advertisers are competing for the 2% of the market that's looking for your service right now. What about the other 98%? There's timing. There's a lot of gold in the follow-up, as we all know, right? But how are you consistently setting up a system to consistently follow up with these prospects to build your know, like, and trust and get them closer to being a referral, right? Full stop. But I love where this is going, because that's often the missing conversation. That's the should know conversation, right?
Love that, man. And I love the tee up. So self plug, hey guys, pay attention, because how to build those channel partner referral partners and word of mouth referrals, that course is coming. And it is a really complex science that takes time, energy, and effort, right? And if you can get that dialed in, while you're dialing in what Tom's talking about, I mean, you're going to have more deals than you know what to do with, which is good, because last time I checked, money didn't hurt, right? It helps you grow your business. That's why you started.
How would it feel when you have a business to where you have more inbound requests to work with you, and you have an opportunity to pick and choose who you want to work with, as opposed to the other side of that coin where you're scrapping and trying to squeeze water out of a rock, and you're trying to hold on to this referral that may not be an ideal client, but you don't want to piss off the referral partner. Real life situations. Both of us have been through this stuff
all right? The time. I love it, man. Well, let's we're butting up on our time, which I knew we would, because we always have great conversations. I always like to ask the question at the end. You know, you've been a business owner, you've been on a journey. It's been awesome and amazing to watch you grow, and you're doing such good stuff. If you could look back at the younger you, or you're talking to someone who's starting that journey, man, what's one piece of advice that you want to give them that they need to hear?
Business, your business, whatever it is, you may think that it's different or unique, but business in itself comes down to core fundamentals. Find someone, an organization, a community, a coach, a mentor, whatever it is, that has already figured out what your problems are, figured out, that already has what you have, and go invest in yourself to shorten that learning curve. Because a long time for me, I used the mentality of, because I worked for so long in my life, that I'll figure this out mentality. And I can't tell you that that biggest asset as us being, husbands and parents and business owners and leaders and visionaries, there's so much that we want to do, but there's a finite amount of time. And the one thing that we can never get back is time. So I would encourage you, right, to ask for help, ask for support, understand, and be humble. Because a part of being a champion and a leader and a visionary is being humble enough to accept advice and criticism to then make yourself and your business and your life better, right? Because there's so many people that are relying on you.
Great advice again, man. And I love that takeaway. I love the idea of, seek mentorship, right? And look at your circle and be okay asking for help. It's not easy. It is not an easy task to tell someone to ask for help. I get it. I'm freaking stubborn as shit. I understand, right? And what I love about Tom and my relationship, right, is that's how we met. We met in a mastermind, right? Yeah. So we both were able to build a relationship that lasts because we have a mentality that aligns, right? We understand that we can learn from each other every time we pick up the phone, every time we go grab a drink, every time we hop on a Zoom. We know we're going to take something away because I don't know shit, right? I'm just going to tell you my perspective, but Tom has some perspective I need too.
Yeah. Don't be afraid to ask. I implore every single one of you, because it took a lot of pain for me to get over that hump. And if me looking back at myself, at my younger self, right? Forget trying to figure it out for your own, because you'll get there a heck of a lot faster, because there are cheat codes to life and success. Success leaves clues. Find those people, find those communities that are going to lean in on you, because I know that in order to pay it back, you want to pay it forward as well. So how do you do the same thing? How do you give back, give forward, pay it on, right? Build that legacy for yourself and for the future entrepreneurs and world, world changers out there by doing the same thing. Because that's how we all ships get to rise,
Love it. Well, below this video, guys, you're going to see links to all of Tom's social accounts, or at least the ones he wants me to promote. There'll also be a click here link. If you click that, name, email, and you can write any message you want. That'll go straight to Tom. Tom would love to chat with you. If you're interested or want to dig into any of the topics, if you're interested in Tom's services, if you just want to have a conversation, go ahead and do so. I promise you're not going to be disappointed. Tom's a great guy to chat with. And brother, I appreciate your time and always respect the conversations.
Likewise, brother. Always a pleasure.